And then, you know, after the challenge, it's stuff that we can use. Oh, SpaceX stream just popped up. All right, cool. All right. Let's bring this up right here. The boy's gonna fast forward. Make sure we're caught up with the live stream. So, let's see what we got. SES-18 and 19. These are commercial, geostationary commercial satellites here. Commercial telecommunications satellites. Yeah, these are the TV satellites. So, guys, if you have DirecTV, if you have satellite television, SES-18 and 19 help support DirecTV. So these are the satellites that you'd be pointing at, which is actually pretty cool. Does anybody have satellite TV anymore? I mean, it's probably do if you're out in the sticks, right? You're awesome. Thanks for showing these launches. My pleasure. My pleasure. Is this the first time we've had 2 launches in one day? No, not even close, Historia. There have been times in the past where I've actually had to split screen and watch 2 rockets launch at the same time, dude. I'll tell you what I'd do if I was a millionaire, man. I'd watch 2 rockets launch at the same time, man. Yep, damn straight. I always wanted to do that. Didn't they just launch? They launched a Starlink out of Vandenberg 4 hours ago. Dink. These guys are going ham. So let's learn. Let's learn a little bit. What booster do we have today on this flight? So SES-18 and 19 is being supported by booster 1069. It's a 44-day turnaround. Booster 1069 is on its 6th flight. Will be its 6th flight, 6th reuse. It's going to land on just read the instructions out in the ocean. It's the 191st Falcon 9 recovery attempt. They're launching from Slick 40, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. This is 2023's 41st orbital attempt. SpaceX's 223rd mission. Their 19th launch of 2023. The 18th was literally 4 hours ago. And Falcon 9's 213th mission. And it's Falcon 9's 18th mission of 2023. Bro.
Falcon 9 has landed.
Bruh.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kate Tice, and I'm a Quality Systems Engineering Manager here at SpaceX. Today, I'm joining you from SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California, and I'll be your host for the SES-18 and SES-19 mission set to lift off from Space Launch Complex 40 from Florida. Today's launch will mark SpaceX's 218th overall mission to date, the 19th mission of this year, and our 2nd launch just today. This also marks SpaceX's 9th SES launch, most recently having launched SES-22 in 2022. SES is a satellite telecommunications network provider that supplies video and data connectivity worldwide. Our payloads today, SES-18 and SES-19, were built by Northrop Grumman. These satellites are essential parts of SES's plan to enable wireless operators to deploy 5G services across the contiguous U.S. After deployment, SES-18 is expected to begin operations in June and will replace an existing satellite, while SES-19 will be co-located with SES-22. Currently, both payloads are safely enclosed inside the payload fairing. Speaking of which, that's what you see there on your screen. Located at the very top of Falcon 9, we have the payload fairing. It measures about 40 feet in length and 17 feet in diameter. To put that size into perspective, an average fire truck is about 40 feet long and 12 feet wide. So safe to say that a fire truck would fit pretty comfortably inside our payload fairing.
A pumper or a
While on
ladder
Earth,
truck?
the fairing's primary job is to protect the payloads from contamination. Then, at liftoff and through ascent, the fairing will also shield against aerothermal loads.
Okay, so guys, just like any other launch, thank you for reminding me, Ingram. Just like every other launch, inside of 10 minutes, just so people that are not subbed or anybody that's watching or anybody that sees a rocket launch in the thumbnail and clicks on it, I'm going to run pre-roll ads now to disable them because I can't think of anything more annoying than seeing a thumbnail of a rocket launching, clicking on it, and seeing ad for something I don't need. Yep. So we're going to run the ads now. I hate ads for what it's worth, but also I really would hate ads popping in during a rocket launch. Try not to do them. I really don't like ads. They really suck. But anyway, here you go. We're running the ads now. And if you didn't see any ads, hi. 2 launches today. Pretty good, right?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Flori Andreas, 18-month resub, and Fractal gifted a sub to Synonymous
Discovery,
Hippopotamus,
go
and then
at
Copper Knight had an 8-month resub. Thank you. Why the top of the fairing is a different color? It's thermal protection system for when the fairing goes through re-entry. They had to put some TPS up there, Nagwal. They throw off your groove. I hate it. Aqualux. I hate it when I'm watching a video and I'm really into a video, especially when said video is conveying something about science that I didn't know, and I'm really trying to pay attention to understand difficult aerodynamic and space topics, right? And then I get an ad right in the middle of it, and it completely derails my train of thought. You know how much I love that, dude. Because you know I love that. Like Blue Adder with the 21. Thank you. Oh, there you go, Aerodite. Nice. Fire, please. Connecting. Can you tell your location? Up. Yeah.
Time. Let's learn a little bit more about our customer and mission.
Hey, Tim Moore.
Get ready.
Welcome
It's time for SES-18 and SES-19 to embark on their...
Speaking of cringe ads.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Ready? You want to see a real one? Here, look at this.
This marks SES's final satellite launch to repurpose C-band spectrum in the United States.
No problem, Tim. My pleasure.
Enabling SES customers to continue delivering satellite-enabled video and data services while paving the way for 5G innovation across the country.
Developers.
Are satellites that will deliver services across the U.S., enabling millions of households to continue to receive TV and radio services.
Sorry.
SES-18 operates in the so-called C-band spectrum. A few years ago, the FCC decided to allocate the lower part of the C-band to mobile carriers to promote American leadership in 5G. This meant that we needed to migrate our customers in the upper parts of the spectrum.
Since 2020, SES has been actively clearing 300 megahertz of C-band spectrum while still carrying TV, radio, and critical data transmission services to millions of Americans in the remaining 200 megahertz.
So we are broadcasters. That's what we do, and we're grateful for the techs that are here today to make sure that we can continue to pick up all that great programming.
To ensure that U.S. customers would continue to enjoy video and network services, satellites had to be built and delivered in record time. The launch of SES-18 and SES-19 is key in providing contractual service protections to customers who receive video services in the U.S.
Sports!
Aside from building and launching satellites, over the last 2 years and a half, we've been working tirelessly on upgrading our ground infrastructure, on installing antennas and filters at Earth stations. And all this will continue in the course of this year, so that by the end of the year we can hand over the spectrum for the rollout of 5G in the country.
Thanks to all satellite manufacturing and launch partners, including Northrop Grumman for SES-18 and SES-19, and launch partner SpaceX. SES expects to complete the C-band transition ahead of the FCC's December 2023 accelerated relocation deadline. SES, enabling the next era of connectivity.
Super Excellent Satellite is what it stands for.
SES was one of SpaceX's earliest launch customers and has been a key partner in a number of firsts with us. SES was the first commercial satellite operator to launch on Falcon 9 from the Cape back in December 2013. That was with SES-8. That mission also happened to be SpaceX's first mission to a super-synchronous transfer orbit.
Falcon 9 tanks are pressurizing for strong back retract.
Most notably, SES was also the very first customer to fly on a reused booster. SpaceX launched SES-10 back in March of 2017 using a booster that had previously supported a Dragon cargo resupply mission. I remember hosting that webcast, and it was an incredible day, certainly one of the highlights of my career.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember everybody at the time, like, you know how everybody on, on Twitter, everybody all like, no, you never do that. You'll never be able to do that. Blah, 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 blah. Dude, the like edgy thing to say on Twitter at the time, in like the spaceflight community, the edgy thing to say was like, you'll never be able to reuse a rocket. You'll never be able to reuse that. No, they proved reusability couldn't work with the shuttle. You'll never be able to reuse that. Oops. And then SpaceX did that. And it's funny, all those people shut up after that. I haven't heard any of those skeptics about reuse.
Actually pull the
Curious.
TE away even further from Falcon 9 as it lifts off. At this point in time, both the first and second stages are nearly fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen.
Yeah, man, it's true.
Falcon 9 uses two propellants, a refined form of kerosene called RP1 or Rocket Propellant 1 for the fuel, and we use LOX or liquid oxygen for the oxidizer.
Oxidizer!
An oxidizer is a type of chemical that a fuel requires in order to burn. The liquid oxygen is chilled well below its boiling point so that it has a much greater amount of mass per volume, meaning that we can load more of it into the vehicle.
The second stage.
In addition to those two propellants, we also use a chemical called TTEB, or triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane, as an ignition source.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
Okay.
And there's that call out telling us that
And Stage 1 POGO.
First stage is now completely loaded with all of its liquid oxygen. Second stage will wrap up in about 50 seconds.
We all do, Rob. We all do.
Now, with combustion of the
St.
RP1 and
Patty's
liquid
Day,
oxygen is what makes the rocket go, and it's that TTEB that really sets the match into that propellant mix.
So true.
At T-minus 60 seconds, we'll hear the call out that Falcon 9 is in startup. That means that the rocket's autonomous internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. And then just inside T-minus 2 seconds, we'll light those Merlin M1D engines for liftoff.
It's the prevention system.
SES-18 and SES-19 payloads continue to be healthy. Falcon 9 team tracking no issues on the rocket. As you can see, beautiful day at the Cape. We have been keeping an eye on the winds, but everything is looking green on the front for weather. And range is ready to support. Liftoff at 7:38 p.m. Eastern Time, just 2 minutes from now.
You know, if this stream has to get to the point where we're covering launches every 20 minutes,
by for a call out of LOX load complete on the second stage.
If it just has to be like a plane watching stream.
Now, for some reason, we're unable to launch today. We do have a backup opportunity.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
Okay.
All right. There's that call out telling us stage 2 is complete. That backup opportunity is tomorrow at the same time. So with that, we're proceeding into the final minute and 30 seconds into...
Ground gas close up.
Okay, there's the gas purge. So what they're doing is they're pumping nitrogen up the pipe right here. That pipe is the fuel line and the oxidizer line for the second stage. Now, with the fuel line, they could just drain it out of the system and put it back in the fuel tanks. But the oxidizer line will boil off. You can't try to... It will turn into gas by the time they try to move it back to the fuel tanks. So they pump nitrogen up the oxidizer line, and then there's a vent that they open there to get all the oxygen that was used to fill up the second stage, right? They get that all out of there with nitrogen, and it's turned to gas, and it shoots out the side. It's a purge line. Ground gas closeout there means your second stage is filled up and ready to go, meaning we fly.
SpaceX LD, go for launch.
See? Sounds
and
awful.
there was the final go for launch
right?
today coming from our launch director. So now coming up to T-minus 34 seconds until liftoff.
There you go,
All systems are go for launch of Falcon 9,
seconds and counting.
carrying SES-18 and SES-19. Let's listen in to the final seconds.
Chat is go. 20 seconds.
T-minus 15 seconds and counting.
10.
T-minus 10.
Sound
9,
suppression water system
8,
is
7,
on.
6, 5, 4, 3,
Green flash.
2, 1.
Discovery, go and
Ignition.
throttle up.
Liftoff.
Okay. Got a good lift on SES-18 and 19. Falcon 9 spreads its wings for the second time today. Not bad.
Vehicle is pitching downrange.
Got dark real quick, huh? Just
Stage
shows you
1
what the
propulsion
exposure
is
of those
nominal.
cameras were. Okay, got the call for stage 1 nominal propulsion. We should get a call for good power and telemetry here momentarily in the next 20 seconds. happening right around now. Second launch today, Greg.
T-minus 42 seconds into the mission. Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from pad 40.
There it is.
And we are preparing for max Q,
Dude.
coming up in about 20 seconds. That is the moment in which the vehicle experiences the greatest amount of aerodynamic pressure. Everything looking good with
Happy St. Patty's Day.
everything looking good with vehicle performance and trajectory.
Call for maximum dynamic pressure. Second Falcon 9 launched after
Max Q.
The first Falcon 9 launched from Vandenberg.
All right, there's that call telling us that we're now past the point of maximum aerodynamic pressure. We also heard the call out a few seconds before that for Mach 1, telling us that the vehicle is traveling faster than the speed of sound.
Yeah, cool. You see that?
Coming up, we have 3 events
Very pretty.
happening in quick succession.
Golden
For those
hour
of you
stuff
that
right
have
there. Look
watched
at- you
our
can see the whole
webcast.
rocket.
Engine chill has started.
Those familiar with our webcast, this will
that's nice.
be very familiar. We have main engine cutoff, or MECO, stage separation, and SES-1, or second
match,
engine
maybe.
start 1. Main engine cutoff
Yeah,
is
we're
where
done for
all
sure.
9
Nobody's on
M1D
board,
engines, which
yeah.
you see
Satellites.
right now fully lit, they will shut down.
So, I don't mean to keep interrupting Kate. This is launching satellites that will support satellite television. So if you have DirecTV or something, or a satellite provider for your television, that's what these satellites are. They're TV satellites.
Stage will start its journey back to Earth, targeting a landing on our drone ship.
Oh, no
just
way,
awaiting
Adri, that's
instructions.
cool.
During that time, stage 2 will
It's
continue
happened,
on its
Bellum,
journey
yeah.
with the third event, second engine start 1, or SES-1, and that's where we will light the single MVAC engine, and it will propel the second stage along with the
Yeah.
SES-8.
Main engine cutoff.
Here's MECO. Stand by for stage separation.
Confirm stage separation.
Good. Everything's looking good. Second green flash.
MVAC ignition.
Very nice.
All right, there we can see a really neat shot of
Yes,
the
and-
first stage looking at the second stage looking at the first stage. There's
That's
a
so cool.
beautiful view of both of those
Yep,
stages.
there's the first stage, second
one
stage is
behind
down
the
there.
other.
Oh, what a shot,
one-
man.
Towards the bottom of your screen,
Yeah,
that is the second
that's
stage
sweet.
with the MVAC engine now lit.
Both vehicles are following nominal trajectories.
That's so cool.
We're expecting fairing separation in about 7 seconds.
I agree, Pierto. Very cool. Stand by for fairing separation.
Confirmed fairing separation.
And there we can
Great.
see those fairing halves have separated. This
Yeah,
was the
Chris, that's what
7th
everybody
flight
was
for
saying.
one fairing half and the 3rd flight
That's awesome.
for the other fairing half.
Sebring showed the damn launch. That's
We're now
so cool.
T plus 3 minutes and 45 seconds into launch.
Yeah,
Everything
like this,
looking
yep.
nominal
We might
for
see
both
it
the
again
first
here.
and second stages. Be sure to keep
Acquisition
an,
of signal, Bermuda.
I'm telling
be
you
sure to
guys.
keep an eye on the stage 1 and stage 2 telemetry.
I'm telling you. People that like... Whoa. That's the first stage right there. Those are the 2 fairings, and that's the second stage. Oh, that's sick. What a shot. That's it. Oh, there it is, dude. There's the 2 fairings. There's the first stage. There's the second stage. Oh, that's so cool. What I was about to say is that people like race cars because they go fast. Well, usually rockets go fast too. So usually the same people that like race cars also like rockets, myself included. So that's really cool that Sebring showed it because there's a bunch of people that are digging it. Oh, there's more of the solid nitrogen happening there.
First stage, right-hand side, beautiful orange
Max is
glow
like,
of
yep.
the MVAC engine on that second stage. As I was saying, keep an eye on the telemetry there on
Both
the
vehicles
bottom.
continue to follow nominal trajectories.
Oh,
On the
what a
bottom of your
shot,
screen, we
dude.
can now see that
that's
first
great.
stage has reached its apogee.
Dude.
That altitude there, it seems like it's
See, all that nitrogen that they're outgassing is solidifying. See it? It solidifies on when they outgas into the vacuum. See that? That's that ring that we saw earlier. But since the sun is backlighting this, it's really easy to see it. See, it looks like it's snowing up there.
of the Merlin engines will relight. That helps to slow the stage down
Cool,
as
huh?
it re-enters the upper part of the Earth's atmosphere.
Why no rings? That
Over the
doesn't
next few
always
minutes,
happen
you
smoothly. It
can
happens
also
sometimes.
spot
dude.
how the first stage uses its grid fins. A beautiful view there of those grid fins.
You might see 'em
Those
here
grid
in a
fins
second.
help steer the vehicle to
So, like, That only happens at certain times in certain atmospheric conditions. Usually you get this. It usually doesn't come off in one piece like that, dude. But, yeah. But sometimes it does, which, yeah, it's kind of hit or miss, dude. But yeah, that's the same thing, dude. That's what you saw before. Or it was aliens.
We're about 40 seconds away from the first stage entry burn. Everything continues to look nominal for the second stage as it carries the SES-18 and SES-19
They do go get the
payloads.
Cornholio. Hey, they do go get them, yeah. Fairings have parachutes in them.
That cold nitrogen gas being utilized for that attitude control there on the left-hand side.
You got to adjust your attitude with nitrogen, okay? So my favorite part's coming up here. The Falcon 9 first stage doesn't really have a heat shield, guys, because it doesn't need one. Now, that's not to say that it's not going to experience some re-entry heating. You can actually see some plasma accumulation down there at the bottom of the vehicle. It doesn't need a heat shield because what you're about to see is the heat shield. Supersonic retropropulsion. Falcon 9 actually fires its engines into the re-entry heat, and that actually pushes the re-entry heating away from the vehicle. That's the heat shield. See how it kind of looks like a heat shield? The Falcon 9 flies business end first. It flies through its own exhaust. The exhaust is cooler than re-entry heat. It keeps the thing nice and cool. Now, sometimes you'll see some re-entry heating and some plasma accumulation happening right there. See? There's some re-entry heating right there, but for the most part, she doesn't need it.
Our drone ship. Of course, that's the landing burn.
Cool.
During the first stage landing burn, a
Plasma
single Merlin
accumulation.
engine, that center engine, will relight and slow the vehicle down for its its landing attempt on our drone
come back,
ship.
please.
Just read the instructions.
Oh, there's the plume. That was the ascent plume right there.
Gorgeous view of the second stage MVAC engine.
Really?
Right before, in that
Stage
prior
2 is
view,
in terminal guidance.
you were
Sebring
actually
commentators
able
are
to
talking
see
over the rocket
the
launch. They
contrail left
missed a
behind by
Ferrari
the first
crashing.
stage, lit by the sun peeping
Stage
up
1
over the.
transonic.
Nothing of value
There you
lost.
can see the first stage flight path, basically illuminated by the sunlight peeking over the horizon of the Earth.
Max, it hurts. It hurts so much, dude.
For those of you just
Second
tuning
stage
in,
flight termination system is safe.
I have.
we had a successful liftoff at 7:38 p.m.
Oh,
Eastern
shit,
Time
oh,
from
damage.
Pad 40.
See that right there? That's the ascent
We
plume
expect
right there.
second engine cutoff
cool.
1 and first stage landing to occur within seconds of each other.
MVAC shutdown.
Okay, stand by for the call for nominal
Stage
orbital
1 landing
insertion.
burn.
Stage 1 landing burn has started. Oh, what a shot.
And there we can see the landing
Sam,
burn
you gotta be
has
kidding me.
begun, as well as that second engine
There's the drone
cutoff
ship.
confirmed.
Nominal parking orbit.
Okay, got nominal orbital insertion.
And we just heard the call out for
Stage
good
1
orbit.
landing leg deploy.
Landing legs. Oh my god. Dude, that is like dead center.
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
That's dead
This
center.
marks SpaceX's
dude. Look at that.
180th successful
that is
recovery
like
of an orbital class
dead
rocket,
center.
and the sixth landing for this particular booster, having previously supported
How did we get
CRS-24, Eutelsat Hotbird 13F, OneWeb 1, and 2 Starlink missions.
So check that out, guys. That phenomenon that's going on right there. This is the second stage plume. The sun is actually backlighting it, so you could see the entire thing, but you see the winds kind of chopping up the cast a little
MVAC
bit.
engine is set to occur around the T plus 26 minute mark. So until then, sit tight and we'll see you soon.
I don't want to talk about it, Gene. So, guys, the thing about the Ferrari that's competing in the Sebring 1000 is that it's see, there's that's the second stage plume. That's what that light is. The sun is backlighting the plume, so it gets that really cool atmospheric effect. The thing about it, dude, that's for the Le Mans car that Ferrari is driving around in that Sebring 1000. That thing is brand new. So if someone crashed it, means they crashed a brand new Ferrari race car, man. And that's it. SpaceX has unofficially broken a launch cadence of faster than every 4 days. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, dude. The driver was watching the rocket. I'd get distracted. I'm not even kidding. Correction, was brand new. This is the worst day of my life. No, this is the worst day of your life so far. They crashed it twice, once in testing this week, and then once again today. Oh, mamma mia. Just because you have money doesn't mean you know how to drive a car. No, Wrath, we're talking about an actual race car that's competing in an actual sanctioned racing event. But I understand the gist of what you're saying. Practice like you play. If you practice lazy, you play lazy. If you practice hard, you play hard. It's one of my dad's mantras that he drilled into my head when I was younger. Like, are you winning, son? It's true. Oh yeah, that's right, Owens. It's okay. At least the Ferrari Formula 1 team is doing good. Charles, you have 10-second grid penalty because part of your car broke. What do you mean part of my car broke? This thing is brand new. Yeah, I know. Sorry, component fell. 10-spot grid penalty. They landed the first stage, man. Yep. Sure, Ginny. Go ahead, man. Of course, Foz. Yeah, Builder, we saw it, dude. Alright, hold on. Hold on, let's see. Well, the satellite's coasting, dudes. We were doing capsule hypersonics a second ago. Oh, it's in slow motion.
I'm sure Ferraris in LMP2, and I'm sure certainly before this era is over will be a
dude, that's a great shot, man. That's a real good shot.
I'm really impressed with all
There's the Ferrari.
All the testing they've done. You know,
yep,
you know
Sebring.
that Porsche
Okay,
are come
next corner's a hard right.
Cadillac also, you know, history in DPR.
No, there's the Toyota. It's going around a 488. Dude, look! Did you see it at the very end? There's the Ascent! There it is. There's the Ascent, dude. Dude, I'd get so distracted from that, man. Oh my god. Wait, go back. You missed Miko. Hold on. Where? Oh, dude.
Cadillac also, you know.
That's awesome, man. These are two of my favorite things coming together. This is great. Oh, I'm so hyped. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so good, dude.
Well,
I love how they're straight up cutting back to the rocket. Oh my god, that's so good, dude. Is this heaven? Race cars and rockets? Is this heaven? No, it's Florida. Is this heaven? No, it's Iowa. What? Will there be more KSP today? We got a Saturn 1 to build, Doom. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, let's just make sure we're caught up. Target market, EJ. Yep. The car crashes, the camera guy's like, yeah, whatever. Crashed. Alright, cool. Falcon 9. Field of Dreams? Yeah. Is this heaven? No, it's Florida. It must be Ohio. Always has been. How do you feel about going back to racing? I want to play Kerbal. Don't throw stuff at me. Can you watch the landing again? Sure. That landing was
one and first stage landing.
pretty close to dead center, dudes. Oh, that mug is sweet, man. Stuff stays cool in that thing forever.
Was that second engine cutoff confirmed?
Nominal parking orbit.
Dude, this is nuts. Like, I don't...
We just heard the call out.
You know what? I've said this 1,000 times because we've watched hundreds of Falcon 9 landings, but I don't think people realize how big that thing actually is. So I'm just gonna go through the motions here and just... So... If you look at the drone ship here, now hopefully, I forget if they switched to a big shot of the booster landing. I don't know if they did. But, alright. So, you see the booster. You got a pretty good idea. You think you got a pretty good idea how big that thing is, right? I want you guys to look at this shot of the drone ship before the booster lands. See if you can pick out anything for scale. Like the railing, for instance. See the railing on the side of the drone ship? That thing that's really, really tiny? That's a handrail. That's a regular handrail. So that's a meter tall. 3 feet. That's a regular old handrail. Now adjust. Adjust your brain for the scale here. See the handrail over there? That's a regular old 3-4 foot handrail. It's about a meter tall. Now picture how big a person would be. A person could walk underneath Falcon 9, no problem. That rocket is huge. I've stood next to one. It's huge. Falcon 9 is 150 feet tall. That's about... It's 46, 47 meters or something like that. It is a huge first stage. It's about the size of a 22-story building. And it's landing on a drone ship that's about the size of a football field out there. It just does it no problem. This thing, it's not small. That's not a small rocket. Four hours and 12 minutes between launches. It's gigantic. Yeah, Thomas Joseph. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there you go. That's a great picture. The picture of you and Das in front of it is the best. It's not a small vehicle. And the fact that that thing is just pinpoint landing on this thing is just mind-boggling. What happened to the Ferrari? Oh. Guys, in racing, this is called pulling an EJ. All right.
He had just moved.
Here, we don't want the audio up. In racing, this is called pulling an EJ. See, that car's good. That car's good. See, this is called overdriving the car. That is my problem. Basically, when you're trying to do too much. When you try to do too much too fast, the car basically says, and physics basically says, nah, we're not doing that. This is the result. That's the result. A costly mistake. Yep. Yep. That's a write-off. We were having conversations about systems that you build on things, that you build it with the expectation that you never really want to use it, like a launch escape system, for instance. You put it there, and you engineer it, and you take time engineering it, but also you never want to use it because that means something went wrong, or a roll cage for a car. With that being said, I'm pretty sure the roll cage on that Ferrari just got used pretty hard. Yeah. Yeah. Flight termination systems. Indeed. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, you know, that's good. Anyway, let's pop us back over to live here. We should be coming up on second stage engine start here. We're not done yet. Sir, are you okay? A question? Was that the launch plume behind the second stage at cutoff? It was, Goalie, yeah. It was the actually first and second stage plume. You could tell the difference between the first and second stage plume because the second stage plume is expanded. It's way expanded. That's because of the nozzle and vacuum. I have the keys for the garage. It's the keys for the shop and all of my cars. Yes, Salute. I carry them with me every day. Yeah, I have the keys with me, dudes, because yeah, I locked the shop. Shop's a little ways back in the woods. And, yeah. I have a lot of expensive things in here, so, yeah, we lock it. Yeah, there's a lot of expensive stuff in here. Someone said, look at this earlier, and you'll see something that you know. Okay. Thomas, yeah, it's Thomas. Thomas looked at it. It's probably going to be a boat, dude, if I had to guess. Oh, that's such a good shot. And the cameraman framed that perfectly, to be honest with you. You know what? I'm keeping that up because that's funny. That's a perfectly framed shot, dude. Perfect rule of thirds, man. Knowing Thomas, he probably wants me to see the... Ah. Wow. Blast from the past, dude. You know what the crazy thing is? This wasn't too long ago. SES-18, this is SES-8? Or no, SES-10. SES-9 went through the drone ship and came out the other side. True story. Yeah, Bunker Buster. Yeah. No, not the Shamrock. The boats. That's Megan and Shannon. I think. Yeah, Megan and Shannon? By the way, I meant racing like next week or the week after. I'll think about it, Max. Yeah. That's when they were called Go Searcher and Go Navigator. And that actually might be Go Quest, which they don't use anymore. It looks like it's Go Quest. And that one looks like Go Searcher. Cool. NSF was only 2.1 miles away. Wow. So let's check out this footage from our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight. Holy cow, they were close.
3, you can see the sound suppression water. 2, 1, that'll
Green
be ignition.
flash.
And liftoff.
Wait a minute, did Ian copy me? Hold on. Hold on a second. Did he?
Yeah, this is quite a view here.
Listen.
T-minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. You can see the sound suppression water. 2, 1, that'll be ignition.
Ian!
And liftoff of Falcon 9
B-1069.
Launching SES-18 and 19 to
He
its
stole my
geostationary
line!
orbit from Slick 40, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Look at that.
Wow.
That guy watches this stream.
Shot there. You can see the individual.
That guy with the lower voice, he watches this stream. You schmuck, you stole my line.
Plumes.
That is superb.
Beautiful.
I don't
All right,
care.
let's listen
I think
into
it's funny.
Falcon 9.
What's the green flash for? That's the igniter fluid, Clayton. These things use, ooh, my boat. Really? The Falcon 9 uses triethyl aluminum and triethyl borane, and they spray that into the gas generator to get it to start. That's their starter fluid. It's like Clayton, if you got the grill going, you just put some lighter fluid on there and you light a match and throw it at it, and literally that, but inside of a rocket engine. Dude. How about that? There is straight up another Falcon 9 being recovered over there, and then there's another one launching into space. They launched a Starlink about 4 hours ago. What a shot, dude. That shot mutter is so close, dude. That's really freaking close, Mutter. Wow. Unbelievable. It's SES-18 and 19, Rocket Guy. There are 2 sats on board. And speaking of that, let's pick up the mission here. They have an AOS through Gabon. We saw an onboard there. That is the fastest time between 2 launches, Rain, yes. And also SpaceX's
Welcome back to the live webcast for the SES-18 and SES-19 mission.
That actually puts SpaceX statistically at a launch less than every 4 days for 2023.
Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Post liftoff, we also had successful main engine cutoff, stage separation, ignition and shutdown of the second stage, fairing separation, and first stage landing. Coming up in about 17 seconds, we will relight and shut down the second stage engine once again. That burn will last less than a minute and is the last burn prior to payload deployment. There's a view now of that second stage.
One day they launched 54 satellites.
Standing by for SES-2.
Oh, there's some of that solid oxygen. Never mind, it's gone. It's gone.
There we can see on your screen, SES-2 is underway. As I said, this burn will last less than a minute. And as mentioned previously, today's mission marks SpaceX's 9th SES launch.
At this point, are recovery vessels the
SES
bottleneck
is
for
a
SpaceX
satellite
launches?
telecommunications network provider that supplies video and data connectivity worldwide.
Sounds right, friend.
And we've got about another 10 seconds remaining in this burn.
SpaceX just thrashing.
Standing by for second engine cutoff 2.
Seco 2. They're just thrashing on freaking launch records here. It's unbelievable.
There we can see second engine cutoff has occurred. We will stand by for confirmation of good orbit.
I think so, Green, yeah. Second stage come back.
You can tell that engine is no longer ignited as that skirt.
Nominal transfer orbit.
And there we heard the call out for good orbit. With that confirmation of the second stage engine burn and of that MVAC engine the second stage now in good orbit, we're going to come back to you in about 4 minutes to cover the first deployment, which will be SES-18. Until then, sit back and enjoy the space tunes.
Yeah, the satellites are stacked on top of each other. So we're looking at the butt end of 19 right here. 18's out in front of it. They make the satellites so they can stack them like Legos. Anyway, my Billy, the fairing. Does it look like the fairing has RCS? It does, absolutely. Most fairings have RCS in general. But the reaction control system on a fairing isn't used for like attitude control. Like, you know, if you're playing Kerbal, you'd use the RCS to turn around or go in a different direction. Most fairings use a pneumatic separation system. So they have RCS, but the RCS is there to move the fairing away, right? SpaceX took that to the next level. Realizing that they couldn't make fairings fast enough to support their launch cadence, they decided to pursue reuse of fairings instead. Now, fairings aren't that expensive to make. They're really not. It's about $4 or $5 million. Now, I know somebody just looked at me and said, $4 to $5 million is not expensive? EJ? Is there something you're not telling us? Well, no. It's not expensive. That's not expensive for SpaceX. The rocket is $60 million brand new. So $5 million of $60 million is not that much. It's not inconsequential, but it's not as much as say like a first stage, right? That's for sure. So why are they reusing the fairings? They reuse them for their launch cadence. So SpaceX took that to the next level. What they did was they took the pneumatic separation system that's already on the fairing, the system that's designed to get the fairing to separate, and they added more thrusters. And what happens with the fairings is that the RCS orients them so the fairing halves, the outer skin of the fairing half, hits re-entry. And the RCS keeps that thing on a nice even keel through re-entry, and then next to the pneumatic system, they put a parachute. It's actually a parafoil. So the parafoil deploys, and then the fairing just kind of flies around, and it flies back and lands in the water next to the recovery ships. Pretty cool, huh? And the recovery ship has like a huge catch net that they sink underneath the fairing, and then they pull up on with a crane, and they recover the fairings. Yeah, you guys, the fairing entry shot is crazy. Moist 49-month resub. Check this out. Yeah, so if you know, my bill, you say, oh, does the fairing have RCS? Well, yeah, absolutely. The RCS is, hello? Hey, come back here. The RCS is used for separation.
Acquisition of signal, part of restock.
Now watch. You can see bottom of the fairing here. Now look. Re-entry, baby. Look at that. Look at the re-entry heating. Isn't that cool? There's your plasma right there. You can see, look. See those sparks coming from the top up there? That's ablating the front of the fairing. Somebody asked me, why do the fairings have a darker nose cone? It's so that doesn't happen. That right there, those sparks are literally re-entry heating, eating away the nose of the fairing. With the older designs, yeah, they just put they didn't put any thermal protection system up there, but the fairings now have a heat shield basically up at the very tip of the nose cone. And there's your parafoil, right? I don't know if it's RCC, Doom, to be honest with you. And SpaceX for the longest time had the idea of trying to catch them on the drone ship, but they often missed. So, what they did instead was they made the fairings waterproof, long story short.
For those that have just recently tuned in, it's been a nominal mission so far. We had liftoff.
And they just land them in the water and they fish them out.
Time. Successful landing of the first stage, 2 ignitions and shutdowns of our second stage engine as well.
Kulima, this second stage is in a super synchronous orbit with its perigee. So the AP is out by geosynchronous. It's actually not super sync. The AP is out by geosynchronous and the PE is actually in the atmosphere. So that's the insertion trajectory that they're on right now. They're going to deploy the satellites. There goes SES-18 right there. You can see it out in front. The satellites will use their own thrusters once they get far enough away from the stage to actually, you know, when they get up to apogee, they'll circularize up at geo, right? Or get into a different type of orbit. And the second stage will basically keep flying. And what happens is when it comes back around, it'll burn up. Either that, or they'll put the perigee in a place that is a decaying orbit, and the second stage will just aero brake and aero brake and aero brake and aero brake and aero brake till there's nothing left. Yeah. SpaceX makes sure that they dispose of those stages. And they make sure that, you know, they actually make sure that the stage doesn't come down in a spot where they don't want it to either, if any part of it does make it through. Sometimes that does happen, but for the most part, they make sure that they don't. But yeah, we just had a good deployment on SES-18. You didn't really see it. It's out in front there. It's a shame the second stage isn't recoverable. Well, SpaceX is trying to fix that problem right now, Gladiator. That's what Starship is. No one's ever made a fully recoverable second stage. There's been a partially recoverable second stage. Does anybody know what it is? What rocket has a partially recoverable second stage? The Space Shuttle. The Space Shuttle is a partially reusable second stage. It doesn't come back down with the external tank, right? Shuttle, yep. Buran, not so much. Buran is a recoverable payload. Differences. Because Buran isn't the second stage. The Energia core is. So recovering the Energia core stage would be a partially reusable second stage. But Buran is the payload. Because remember, Energia could also launch Boleus into space as well. Buran is a payload. It's not a second stage. They've done it before, Doom. This is the shortest time between launches that I can remember, dude. See? Check this out, Doom. Look, they're in an eccentric orbit. See how the altitude? Altitude should be going up. And just like any other eccentric orbit, as your altitude goes up, your speed goes down. You're trading kinetic energy for potential energy here. And you can see the trade happening with SpaceX's numbers in real time. Speed's going down. Altitude's going up. It's just like if you took a tennis ball and you threw it up in the air, right? Eventually, there's a split second where that tennis ball would have 0 velocity. It would be 0, right? You throw it, but right when it leaves your hand, it's going the fastest. That has the most amount of kinetic energy on it, right? And then when it hits the top of its arc, right, it slows down as the altitude goes up, and then when it hits the top, altitude stays the same for a split second and velocity is 0, and then it comes back down and hits the ground with the same force that you used to throw it up. Well, depends on how high the arc is, but you get the idea. You're trading kinetic energy for potential energy when you're coasting to apogee like that in an eccentric orbit. I said partially reusable second stage rocket guy. Yeah. Max 78-month resub. Thanks, dude. Yeah, rocket guy. There you go. Yeah.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, Moto Kid. Been amazing watching the spaceflight industry evolve over all these years. Can't wait for the future. We have been watching it. We've been watching it for some time. You've been watching it for some time here with me, dude. And thank you for every time you pop into the stream, man. Makes me happy that people have stayed for this long. I still can't believe how high some people's resub notices are, dude. Dude. The people that subscribed when I first got partners, their resubs are approaching 100. Which I'm just like, all right. Just like you with an 84-month resub. You gotta be kidding me, dude.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Okay, champ. That's a 0-month sub.
Welcome back once again to
Thanks,
the
man.
SES
Welcome to Mission Control. You go at throttle up.
launch webcast.
I'm glad you guys
We have
appreciate
one more
it.
milestone
Really,
left for today's mission, and that is deployment of the SES-19 satellite. We deployed SES-18 just a couple minutes ago, and with the second stage now about to fly over Madagascar, we are expecting the second deployment, that of SES-19, coming up in just seconds from now.
So this thing should unclamp. It's just a ring, and the ring will unclamp, and the springs will push the satellite away. There's
SES separation confirmed.
There we go. And look, look at the little tiny
And
rocket
there you
engine
can
it
see
has
on your screen, as well as heard on the nets, successful deployment of the SES-19 satellite.
There was, Willie. Yep.
With successful deployment of both SES-18 and SES-19, that brings today's webcast to a close.
Adios, amigo.
We would like to
Dios.
thank SES for entrusting us with today's mission and all of you for joining us. We also want to give a shout out to the Range and Federal Aviation Administration for supporting today's mission. This launch concludes our 218th overall SpaceX mission to date, the 19th launch of the year, and the second launch of the day. A doubleheader on a Friday. What a great way to end the week. Thanks for tuning in, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Today is Friday in California. Huh? Happy St. Patrick's Day, Kate. All right, cool. Nice. You know Spanish. Un poco. Poco. A little. Were there ever any concepts for external tank reuse? No. There were concepts of bringing the external tank all the way into space and making it into a space station erudite. Yeah, absolutely. Your brother said that the froyo flavor of the day in the SpaceX break room was Lucky Charms. That's awesome, Iron. I'd believe that. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, your bro must know, the Mez doesn't have bad food. Guys, the SpaceX has good eats at the cafeteria, no joke. I've been there. It's good eats, man. Well, there was the flyback booster concept early on. I mean, yeah, but that's not an external tank, dude. Not at all. Anyway, back to Kerbal. Back to Kerbal. Two launches in the pipe today. That's not bad. In the pipe, 5x5. It's in a decaying orbit, Rojo. The low part of the orbit is actually in the atmosphere. So that second stage will keep skirting the atmosphere until it burns up. So yeah, they'll dispose of it. Do you think you could design a payload min sat something like 10 sats in a single payload? Yeah, of course I could. I wonder why to this day SpaceX hasn't made a dedicated streaming studio. Because they don't want to. I like that. I like having the factory in the background on their cast, dude. That's cool. And I'll admit, another thing that I think SpaceX definitely gets right is having people that work there. People that are just regular engineers. People that work on the production lines for Falcon 9 host the cast. Like Kate. Kate's a quality. She's a QA engineer. She actually works on Falcon 9, which is dope. I thought that was the smartest idea they ever had, dude. Yeah, I love hearing the people that have worked on the rockets call the cast. That makes me really happy. SpaceX has always done that right. Rather than having a communications person there talking like this. Today's launch will be supported by the range. And we're aiming for a low Earth orbit. I don't like nothing against that. I don't like that. It's just a very weird, uncanny valley kind of thing going on. Like when Kate and Jesse at SpaceX host the cast, and when John Innsbrucker hosts the cast, we haven't seen him in a while, but that's the best, dude. Those are the best casts. They do such a damn good job, and they don't make it weird either. That's why I like their cast so much. What do you think of For All Mankind? Yeah, I like the first season. Second and third season kind of lost me, dude, but yeah. Yeah, Green. Don't get me started, man. Yeah, 95, that looks wrong. Sounds like those two on the Terran 1 cast. Dude, once again, like, hey, if that's how the CEO wants their company to be represented, I don't have a problem with that. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about, dude. It's just, it comes off as like, I don't know how to say it. It comes off as like, and maybe this is just me. It's just me. It comes off as like super disingenuous, and I'm not trying to imply that anybody that hosts any of these casts is not like super happy to be there. Like, I want to make that very clear. It's not envy or anything, because I do this all the time. Like, if you do it here, that's no problem, right? Like, it's just, yeah, it's very overproduced. Like, those people are talking, but it feels like they're not talking to you. You know what I mean? Yeah, Tufu, kind of. It's a very structured cast, very regimented. And that makes it so you could tell they're reading off a teleprompter, which is, I get it. Kate ain't reading off a teleprompter, neither does Jesse. SpaceX doesn't have any teleprompter. I mean, I don't think they do. They might. I'm pretty sure they don't. Or they might. I don't know. It just comes off as too formal. Yeah, I don't know. But don't get me wrong. Like, as the commercial market expands for rockets, you're going to see more of this, guys. You're going to see more commercialization like that. That does happen. Like, I think SpaceX hits the mark perfectly, though. Their casts are amazing, and there's so much talent behind them. It's so cool, dude. Like, it's really inspiring stuff. Like, their casts always make me so happy. I really don't ever cringe at what the SpaceX casters say, because they all know what they're talking about, because they're all engineers, Except a couple of times. A couple of times they have the marketing people on there, and then it's like, okay. Yeah, that's right, Blackness. Yep. I think NASA's trying too hard to be more SpaceX-y. Yeah, Hooch, I do understand what you're saying. Yeah. I think the NASA PAOs do a good job. So, Gary Jordan, Dan Hewitt, Shanique Wolverine, Leah Cheshire. I think they do a good job. Personally, I think they do good. And there's always Rob Navius, who's the legend. Like, I think they do good. They don't do bad over there. Some of the newer casters that they have are okay. But yeah, I think those guys that I mentioned do a good job. They really do. And I'm not to say that the new ones don't either. It's just, yeah. And the new, you know what the other thing is that, dude, if you're in front of a camera like this, you need time to kind of find your rhythm. All right. And that takes time to get this right. Like me, I'm very comfortable. I don't care. It's like, I'm comfortable here. This is fine. You know, I don't mind that there's a ton of people in here watching me. That doesn't really bother me. I can go talk in front of a crowd. No big deal. It doesn't bother you anymore. It takes time to find your feet. It takes time to get your flow. You know what I mean? Like that, you can see that if you watch streamers for long periods of time. It takes time to kind of dial it in and hone at it. It's something you got to work at, dude. Like I'd like to think that I've gotten pretty good at it. I still probably suck, but whatever. What do the NASA public affairs officers do between launches? They write articles about NASA. Awesome. Yep. NSF got some crazy second views of the second stage. Cool. Can you do that, British talk? Okay. All right. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you. Does NASA use teleprompters? Absolutely. Yeah. Sounds like it's not familiar with. They're not familiar with the words they're saying. Yep. Absolutely. Like, and once again, you know, for the newer casters, like the newer PEOs at NASA, and as Relativity and all these other companies do it more, like, look, the Rocket Lab, take Rocket Lab for instance. Their first commentator was okay. Like when they started doing it, the cast was okay. Now it's very normal. Rocket Lab hits the mark too. Because they launch a lot. It takes time to find your feet. If you really even go back, if you really go far back and you look at SpaceX's original casts, like from the Falcon 1 days, it literally is just two people sitting in front of a computer like this, you know? And they're like, oh, we think the rocket is in space. Oh, it's in space. What a great day. This is awesome. Like, they're just looking at the computers with the camera on. Hey, Coder, 17-month resub. Thank you. Forgot that SpaceX has this on there. What is that? Oh, cool. Yeah, neat. Watch early streamer VODs and then watching them a year later is a huge difference. That's right.